A very warm welcome to all my dear students who are watching this video. Hope you all are enjoying your time at home with your families. The students who typically spend between 3 and 7 hours in a structured learning environment away from home are now stuck indoors for weeks. All the schools are closed. All out-of-home activities and social interactions have stopped too. But I know with every passing day you are becoming more and more innovating and coming up with new ideas to deal with this situation. Several schools in the country have started online classes to help their students continue their education from the comfort of their homes. Though there is no replacement for the much effective real-life interaction of the teacher and students, but the demand of the time is online classes. So let's take the help of technology for homeschooling, and I am sure it would be a fun-filled experience. So let's start with the first chapter of mathematics of class 10 ICSE board GST, Goods and Services Tax. Today our topic of discussion is GST, Goods and Services Tax. But the question arises, why do we pay tax? And what does the government do with the tax money? This is a fair question. Some people say, I had to pay for my food, for my house, for my travel, for my medical treatment, for owning a vehicle and whatnot. Even on the roads, one has to pay toll tax. And that we don't get any social security as also medical facilities virtually without any cost. So a taxpayer in general feels that taxes are a burden and should be avoided. But the case is not so, my dear students. Tax is the life source of government sustenance. No government can sustain itself without tax. Tax money goes a long way in funding government programs which are needed to keep a government alive. There is no government in the world that does not collect tax. Because taxes are the life source of a nation, we all should be patriotic to this life source in order to keep the nation functioning. Tax money is used to fund recurring and non-recurring expenses of the country. Recurring expenses can be like salaries paid to the government servants, judicial system, defense, police, firefighters, and so on. Non-recurring expenses are used to build long-term assets for the country like airports, railways, roads, bridges, schools and colleges, factories, libraries, parks and sanctuaries, highways and so many. So my dear students, paying taxes is a civic duty. Taxes are broadly classified into two types, direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax is imposed on the income of an individual. The amount of tax payable varies on the income earned by the individual from various sources such as salary, house rent and so many. So the more you earn, the more you pay. Indirect tax is not imposed directly on the income of individual. Instead, it is imposed on goods and services. Unlike direct tax, indirect tax should be borne by the end customer. There are many indirect taxes, some of which are applied by the central government, whereas some by the state government, making this indirect tax system an extremely complicated system. So GST has been introduced to replace the multiple indirect taxes levied by the state and the central governments in order to simplify the indirect tax system. GST has replaced many of the indirect taxes such as central excise duty, customs duty, VAT, entertainment tax, service tax, property tax and so many. GST is called Goods and Services Tax because it is applicable on the supply of both goods and services. We can say it is a comprehensive multi-stage destination-based tax which is applied on every value addition. So GST is one indirect tax for the entire country. And according to Mr. Modi, it is one nation, one tax. See, there are multiple change of hands an item goes through along its supply chain from the manufacturer to final sale to the consumer. The flowchart is somehow like this. Purchase of raw materials, production or manufacture, sale of product to wholesaler, sale of product to retailer, and sale to the end consumer like us. So this is the supply chain, right? Now the goods and services tax is applied on each of the stages, which makes it a multi-stage tax. The main advantage of GST is that it has removed the cascading effect of tax, that is tax on tax. In the pre-GST regime, every purchaser, including the final consumer, paid tax on tax, which is called cascading effect of tax. Now let us understand a little about the cascading effect of tax. So I take a small supply chain, okay. Now let us take a small supply chain to understand the cascading effect of tax, that is tax on tax. Here we have the raw materials, manufacturer and the wholesale. Suppose the manufacturer wants to produce a mobile. So for the production of a mobile, the manufacturer needs raw materials for its production. So the manufacturer purchases the raw materials from the market, and while purchasing he pays tax in the form of VAT, right? Now after the purchasing of the raw materials, the mobile has to be prepared. So processing the raw materials when the mobile phone is ready to be dispatched in the market, he marks the mobile phone for rupees 10,000, which is the sale price of the mobile phone by the manufacturer. Now this 10,000 includes what? This 10,000 includes the VAT which he has paid already, the principal value which he has used for the purchase of the raw materials, and finally the profit. If you are doing business, obviously you will keep your profit before selling the article which is being made by you. Now at this point, when the product is ready to be sold in the market, the central government comes into act and charges a tax in the form of ED, which is called excise duty. Now what is excise duty? The excise duty is a form of indirect tax levied by the central government on the production or license of certain goods. मतलब क्या है कि अगर आप कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, if you are making something, if you are manufacturing something, then also you have to pay one tax called excise duty. Now if we see that if the rate of tax for the excise duty is 10%, supposing, then this 10% has to be calculated on the 10,000, which comes to rupees 1,000. So this 1,000 is the excise duty, which is the tax to be paid to the central government because of manufacture of the mobile phone. Now, when the manufacturer marks his price, for the mobile 10,000, now he is charged rupees 1,000. Now where from will he get back this amount 1,000? So he has to get back this 1,000 from somewhere. So what he does is, he adds this 1,000 to his marked price. So the selling price now becomes 10,000 plus 1,000 equals to 11,000. So this 11,000 includes what? 10,000 the MRP for the manufacturer, and the 1,000 is the excise duty which he has already paid to the government, right? When he sell off this mobile phone to the wholesaler, that means when the wholesaler purchased this mobile phone, his CP is 11,000. Mind it, this 11,000 includes the tax which is already been paid to the central government by the manufacturer. Okay? Now, cost price for the article for the wholesaler is rupees 11,000, and while purchasing he has to pay a tax in the form of VAT. Now the question arises here, this is the point to be noted. The wholesaler is paying tax on 11,000. But this 11,000 consists of what? 10,000, the mark price of the article for the manufacturer, and plus 1,000, which is what? The excise duty, which is already been paid to the government. Now, the same amount is again added here. So when you calculate VAT on 11,000, you are calculating tax on tax itself only. So what is this? This is what is called the cascading effect of tax. This 1,000 is the tax which is already been given to the central government, and now again the tax is being charged on 11,000, in which 1,000 is already included. That means this amount is also again used to charge tax from the next consumer, the wholesaler. So thereby, now what will happen? When the VAT is calculated here, it is 10% of 11,000 comes to 1,100, and the total amount goes to 12,100, the CP for the wholesaler. Now when he has to sell to the next level, that is supposing to the dealer or the retailer, then he will also include the profit and then sell the mobile phone to the next level. And this way, when it finally comes to the end consumer, the CP for the consumer takes the shape of a pyramid. It becomes a huge amount, very difficult to manage. So this is what was happening till now. Effect of tax, that is tax on tax, leads to tax evasion, black money, corruption, and so many other things. GST has removed the cascading effect of tax on the sale of goods and services. So now, please have a look and try to understand whatever has been discussed.